Hello everyone, I am Bharat from Royal Sabre. Glad to be your host for this webinar. I'm gladly welcome all to the webinar. Today we are going to discuss composable commerce, simplifying tax compliance with Avalara and Commercetools. We have two experts to represent and share their expertise on each platform. Here we have Eric from Avalara team. Eric, can you introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Eric Osborne. I am the Strategic Alliance Manager with Avalara. I've been here about 4.5 years. I work with partners like Royal Cyber, who are our system integrator partners here. Just kind of work with you guys to make sure that anything you need with Avalara, I'm here for you. So super excited to be here. Very excited to talk about this topic.
Great, great. Thanks, Eric, for this time. And I have on the other side Bhavesh from Royal Sabre for Commerce Tool. Bhavesh, you want to go?
Prabhat. So I'm Bhavesh Kurmi. I have total 15 plus years of experience in this industry. I've been working with Royal Cyber as a lead solution architect for one of the project of Royal Cyber's customer. Currently, I'm looking for all the commerce tools implementation for B2B and B2C scenarios across industries. Thank you.
Great.
I'm super excited for this webinar.
Great. Thanks. Welcome, you guys, and I welcome everyone. Yeah, here, no, they're here to share their insights and experience on how to optimize, your e-commerce operations, especially on taxation. So I can say like our focus for the next 30 to 40 minutes driving into a deep discussion on composable commerce ideation, importance of integrating Avalara of the tax compliance solution with Commerce Tools platform. And then we have followed by customer success stories to hear from us, like how we have implemented this kind of integrations and solutions for our customers, and getting insight on right what are the future roadmap from Avalara, and we'll end up with the question and answer session. Hope everything looks good, and let's dive right in. Before no directly jumping into some topics, like I just want to set some no field. Let's start with some basics so that all the audience can relate that and understand these things. So Bhavesh, I'll come to you. Like, what your thought on composable commerce and why it is so important for e-commerce business, and just say like insight about any commerce tool on composable commerce space.
Yeah, sure. Bharat.
Yeah.
So composable commerce, it's quite a buzzing word in the e-commerce domain, right? From last few years. The whole idea is it's a development approach of selecting the best of breed commerce components or services available, which really allows business to just pick and choose what they really need for their e-commerce application or e-commerce platform. So whole idea is to break the entire e-commerce platform into smaller and the reusable components, which will certainly help businesses to pick and choose what they need, as I mentioned. And the outcome is basically it makes the overall e-commerce solution cost effective. As I mentioned, they don't need to go with a monolith solution for their e-commerce challenges or e-commerce application. They'll just plug and play the services which is pre-built, which ultimately results in they don't have to build or start from scratch. It will certainly reduce the time to market for them, which is so critical for any business. And also this, reusability or this quick implementation of solution really promotes an idea of innovation. They can experiment with the new services. It really encourages them to adapt with the emerging trends and technology for the e-commerce, which is so important. Now, if I talk about commerce tools, okay, it really gels up with this idea of composable commerce principle. It follows the same strategy. The entire e-commerce platform has been broken into smaller and the reusable components. And this commerce tools is headless in nature, which really means that decoupling of the front end with the back end. And all the commerce tool services have been exposed with a robust set of APIs, which really allows business to pick and choose precisely what they need. As I mentioned, no need of monolith solution anymore. And adding to the benefit, businesses can really customize it. They don't have to always go with the out-of-the-box solution. It's not restriction anymore. They can develop their own custom components if they want something to be specific to their need. They can integrate it to their Commercetools platform. Good to go, right? And on top of it, they can even integrate with the third-party services. Let's say, uh, Adyen or PayPal. If business want to go with some other service, they can easily integrate with their services using their robust set of APIs and SDKs. So overall, I can say this composable commerce, right, provides great agility to the business and allows them to respond to the market changes swiftly. And not to forget, Commercetools really aligns well with this idea, which is
Okay.
so uh, so valuable and important in the fast-paced and dynamic e-commerce landscape.
Yeah, I can understand as we are all moving towards, I can see a composable commerce. There is no doubt. Yeah, I come to Eric to share about. I just want to hear some out about Avalara and its features and how it fits with an idea of composable commerce space.
Yes, yes. So
Yeah, Eric.
Avalara was the first tax compliance solution built in the cloud. We have over 1,400 pre-built integrations, but we also have a set of very robust APIs that allow partners like Royal Cyber to kind of integrate our solution in with the composable solution, kind of where they see fit, right?
Okay.
From a customer standpoint, we're seeing a lot of need for more integrated experience. Companies want all their tools and insight kind of all brought together in one spot. And we see the market going that way. We did a survey, and 80% of businesses are looking to implement a headless solution within like the next 2 years. Along with that, 75% of leaders report that headless makes it easy for them to make changes and move kind of rapidly in the market. So it's kind of where the market is moving. And when we think about that, compliance is a big part of that demand. We've been pursuing a composable strategy that makes it easier for developers and partners like yourself to use tools to make managing tax compliance like really seamless, right? And when, like you said, with composable, the front end layer is decoupled from compliance complexities like the tax calculator, address validation, Nexus setup, company setup, returns filing, et cetera, et cetera. All these compliance related functions are delivered to the front end via API. This gives companies a lot of opportunity to scale their business with new products in different regions as they move across globally, without having to worry about the non-compliance with all the different tax laws, enable them to create a more native experience for all their users. So, imagine like having tax calculation, capability at checkout for all the front-end applications, such as POS system, your online store, the app. In the traditional approach, applications will have to customize custom front ends that tightly couple with these tax calculation services. In a composable model, each front-end application can leverage its own tax calculation services at runtime using APIs. This avoids duplication, it accelerates development, and drives consistency across all the applications. So our partners love this, and we're kind of moving that direction to kind of make to be a part of this solution. So
Yeah. Great to know. It's like you have stats as well, like 75% to 80% that moving towards composable. Yeah. Hope I think right everyone got an idea on composable commerce and a fair understanding on Avalara and Commercetool fits into it. Uh, let's now get into the actuals to understand the real-time challenges with taxations in e-commerce industry. So we'll start with Bhavesh to share his thoughts from buyer and seller's perspective. What do you can say, Bhavesh?
So that's a good question. So taxation related processes are, believe me, such an administrative burden for the businesses, as there are multiple challenges associated with the same. Just to imagine this, okay, let's consider a scenario that we have an e-commerce business which is operating across multiple regions, multiple jurisdictions. When I say that, we all know that different jurisdiction has their own tax laws, their own tax regulations. What make it more complex is these tax laws and regulations keep on changing and evolving with time. And businesses really need to ensure that they are also continuously updating themselves, adjusting their systems with respect to the changes that are happening in each jurisdiction. So complicated, right? Just imagine this. So if they have failed to do this, right, it will ultimately going to result in customer dissatisfaction. They'll
Okay.
be confused how much taxes they'll require to pay. And if I talk about the B2B scenarios, maybe cross-border transactions, wherein the complying with the tax regulations become so difficult for when it comes to the scenario of multiple countries over there, it can be major hurdle for the businesses. And if I talk about tax reporting and tax auditing, all the businesses need to ensure that they're filing the tax returns on time, accurately, without failing. And what make it even more complex is these tax laws or tax regulations, or the way they file the taxes might differ from one jurisdiction to another. They have their own deadline, their own requirement. So complicated. So it will, as I mentioned, it will be, or it is administrative burden, particularly for the smaller businesses. And if I talk
Okay.
about the auditing, right, they need to ensure that they have all the documents accurate and readily available during auditing. If they miss anything onto it, then they're always at the risk of audit, which can be so disruptive and costly for them. In summary, we can say this tax-related process is quite a cumbersome process for the business, and it is taking too much time and efforts from their side, which is becoming administrative burden. And I'm sure businesses really must be looking a way around to streamline and automate this process.
Okay, I'll come there. So I understand it's completely, it's looked like complicated process from the seller's perspective, and that has to be a streamline. Agree. Eric, what specific tax compliance challenges can business face when operating globally, especially, right? How does Avalara address them?
Yeah, so he brought up some really good points there with the changing regulations.
Yes.
If we think about America in 2022, there were over 42,000 rate changes.
Okay.
So a few years ago, we had Brexit in the UK. So these things are constantly evolving. So for a company that to stay on top of it is quite cumbersome, like he said before. But beyond that, when we think about e-commerce, a business has to think about not only those changing regulations, you have tax rates, right? The different tax rates in all the jurisdictions that are based on economic nexus. So when a company is selling in a certain area, there are thresholds that could be transaction based or revenue based in those different areas, right? So as you move from country to country, those tax rates are different. Those requirements or thresholds are different. Beyond that, so we have tax rates that are constantly changing. We have product taxability, right? How do you classify the products that you have, and how do those change as you move from region to region, country to country, right? We can even have basic examples like a candy bar being, having wheat being a part of it can be classified as a baked good in some areas, which makes it exempt versus it being in another area and they consider it a candy bar and it's taxable. So all these different things change. And then as we think about going globally, those countries all have different requirements when it comes to all of those things that we talked about, tax rate, product taxability. But then in certain companies, you may need fiscal representation to be able to collect and remit taxes on your behalf in that local jurisdiction. So as you move globally, it becomes even a lot more cumbersome, I would say,
Okay.
because like you said, you have all the forms that you have to think about, right? When you think about filing, you have the frequencies of the filings. Do they, here in the United States, a company could file quarterly, they may have to do it monthly, or they may do it annually. So how do you keep up with all of those different things? And then
Agree.
when we think about e-commerce and marketplaces, right? Being a marketplace facilitator, that's a whole set of laws for the facilitator and the sellers as well. So when we think about going global, there is a lot of different things to think about.
Yeah,
I
I
am
agree.
happy to say that Avalara, we support over 95 countries. We have, in the United States, there's like over 13,000 jurisdictions. We have sales and use tax calculation for those. We support VAT, GST as well across the globe. And so companies don't have to worry about that. We can automate the solution. And then as they continue to grow, it's a click of a button to be able to add those different regions and jurisdictions to make it easy for them. And then once it's all set, then we take care of all of the changing regulations, the rates, and all of that stuff for them. So it makes it an easy, seamless kind of process once it's all integrated with Commercetools.
Okay, great. Agree. So I just add on the existing question, right? Since you said like you have an automation process in place, so I can say like we have these complications when there is an amendment to the regulation. So could you share your insight on how manual tax complaints process can lead to errors or in any issues for especially like B2B e-commerce business?
Yeah. Sales tax has so many dependencies. It
Okay.
takes a lot of time. If you're going to do it manually, it takes a lot of time, a lot of resources to manage it and get it right. If a company using like a spreadsheet to track sales and the sales and use tax obligations, the approach requires like reviewing the rates all the time, the rules and boundary changes for each jurisdiction, which are taxable. It involves having like an encyclopedia knowledge of service taxability, right? With all those different products and stuff. It sets up an environment that's ripe for errors because these things are constantly changing. And as you continue to grow, it becomes very, very difficult to kind of keep up with. So you have to have a full team on it, or you can get a solution, I would say.
Okay.
Some of the areas that we find that makes it ripe for auditing or easy errors that companies tend to have is
Mhm.
application of the wrong sales tax, right? That's long application of the wrong sales tax
Okay.
rules. And the reason why I say that is that it's always changing, as we know. But again, those things change from in America. It could be a county, it could be a county, it could be a sales tax holiday, it could be all these different things that changes on a fluctuating basis. So easily tax rates and have to stand on top of that. Filing the wrong forms, you mentioned that earlier, which is literally a trigger for an audit. If you file the wrong forms in a jurisdiction, me as a coming into Avalara and getting trained, having to fill out an actual return or filing for the state of Texas,
Mhm.
it's crazy. It's crazy the amount of jurisdictions and the amount of spots and the amount of areas where you could have an error. And then
Okay.
as we move on to that, thinking about a B2B environment, missing or invalid sales exemptions, like those resale certificates that you need, making sure that they're valid, making sure that they're valid for the right place that you're actually selling into, making sure that it's not expired and that you have some kind of system that stay on top of those things so they don't expire and stuff. And the way we work is that we put a lot of that on the seller, so they could add their certificate at the checkout and stuff to make sure that they don't calculate taxes at the checkout. So those are the
Okay.
three kind of very common scenarios that we have. But when you think about it, it is all the changes. Like I said, 42,000 changes in 2020. I cannot imagine having to stay on top of that all the time, right? So
Yeah, yeah, I agree. It seems a complex process, and as well like there are a lot of lead to a lot of human errors. That's totally understanding. So when you say like we know the challenges as well as that what are the issues that we be looking whenever there's compiling the tax. So we need a proper to make it simpler or to get out of this. So how does Bhavesh, I can say like how does the integration between Avalara and Commerce Tool enhance the tax compliance for any e-commerce business?
Um, in my opinion, it can do wonders for the business in terms of tax handling.
Yep.
To understand this, let's say a business is looking to expand into the new market. Okay. And as soon as I say new market, it comes up with multiple challenges. Eric explained in details, right? Different tax jurisdiction, different countries. Okay. You don't know which your customer base belongs to which country. Okay. So over there, so much complications will be introduced as soon as you start thinking and expanding a business. But post this integration of Avalara and Commercetools, business need not to worry about anything of it, and they can focus on their core business. It will ensure this integration between Commercetools and Avalara will ensure that their e-commerce application is always showing the real-time tax updates to its users. It doesn't matter which jurisdiction or country or region user belong to, it will always be up to date. What benefit it really does it will reduce the risk of errors and potential liabilities for the businesses. Okay, and it will certainly going to get want to reduce the complexity of the scenarios of cross-border transaction, wherein accurate tax calculation will be applied to each and every transactions, even in the case of B2B scenarios, which is currently quite a headache for the business, I have to say that. So this will really help businesses to stay compliant with ever-changing tax regulations. If I talk about the tax filing process or tax auditing process, there also it will be very helpful. It will automate the complete scenario. It will really help in reducing the risk of late and incorrect submission of tax-related information. And if they miss to do so, it will lead to the penalties. But again, everything will be automated over there as well. Now, last but not the least, okay, this integration will help businesses to get the very useful reporting and analytics capability, which can help them to get to know the trend of changes in tax regulations in different jurisdictions, right, in the last few years or so up to the requirement. But it can give some insight which can help them to take some informed decisions, right? So this will give them edge on competitive market to stay ahead in the business, right? In summary, I can say that this integration can really help in streamlining the tax compliance for the business and manage their e-commerce requirements or e-commerce solution. This can help in automating and reducing a lot of errors, and it can save time and efforts from the business and always ensure that they are up to date with ever-changing tax regulations.
Okay. So what's your thought, Eric, on integration with Commercetools, Avalara, how that gives a more beneficial way?
Yeah, having Avalara integrated with Commercetools gives the company a lot of flexibility. When they're thinking about their tax compliance strategy, we can integrate to the back end, the front end only if they want it. We can do both. We have the API consumption only model. So, it gives a lot of flexibility for companies when they want to grow, when they want to scale without having to replace us in a sense with another partner, right? As we think about global compliance, there's like cross-border, there's the domestic, you have your international, which can lead to a scenario where you could have multiple partners multiple partners handling all of this. So working with Avalara and Commercetools together, it gives you one option for that compliance strategy that you need. Specifically thinking about Commercetools, instead of having to implement or integrate tax calculation in multiple versions of your application, a single composable instance can serve unlimited digital channels without customers having to update with new products, are added across the regions. Tax compliance delivered in the APIs is significantly easier to integrate, right? We all know that. You can manipulate it and distribute it, reducing the time it takes to create experiences, including sites, apps, and other things, right? And then developers can use the latest tools and frameworks to bring experiences to life and on any modern platform without being locked in the proprietary language or other limitations of particular tax calculation system. And then consistency of data and basic logic is maintained across all the front-end applications. So those are some kind of specific things to Commercetools that I think, and Composable in general, that we offer that makes it easy for customers as well as partners like yourself to work with us.
Okay, so looks like it's a very good solution. This specific industry can get out of the type of e-commerce business that can benefit most from this integration.
Yeah. So we hate to say the dreadful word of audit, but we find that 60% of audits are focused in like 4 areas. You got manufacturing, construction, wholesale and distributors, and retailers. So all these companies, you can imagine we do a lot of business with those. We acquired a company called TTR a few years ago, and this company, that acquisition, that company helped us grow our content. So now we really have a lot of content to pretty much cover any company that you have. We say if you're in more than 4 jurisdictions, 4 areas, you may want to think about a tax solution, right? And so some areas that we really focus in: retail and software, are areas where we do a lot of professional services, manufacturing on the B2B, and then we do a lot of specialized areas that kind of differentiate us in the marketplace. We have an area for communications and hospitality, beverage and alcohol, fuel and energy, tobacco and vape, and we do a lot with accountants, as you could probably imagine. So when it comes to industries, we pretty much cover the whole gambit of it. We do a lot with e-commerce, and I have to say, e-commerce businesses definitely should be talking to Avalara for sure, because they have so many products, so many different SKUs that I think it becomes a real cumbersome process.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think Eric really covered it well and provided
Yeah.
a holistic view. Okay, but let me give some more examples, or it might be kind of revision what Eric just mentioned, but very precise with the businesses, right? So first one is global e-commerce retailers business, right? He mentioned it, covered it well as well. So as soon as business look to expand, the challenges of different countries, jurisdiction come up over there, and this integration will take care of all the complexity. Okay. Second, I can think of is a B2B scenario wherein multiple countries tax regulations come into the picture, and they need to comply with the cross-border tax regulations or cross-border transactions, taxes applied on that. So this integration will really help to ensure that accurate tax is applied on the transactions with the business customers. Third business I can think of is marketplace platform. Marketplace really means wherein multiple sellers are offering their prices on the product, and customers is choosing one of those and going ahead with the journey of checkout and order, right? So there as well, they can have unique tax challenges over there, because both sellers and buyers can be there in the different countries, okay, different regions. So again, this integration can help in providing more transparency and bring more compliance for all the involved parties in marketplace scenario. Last one, which I can think of right now, is the niche e-commerce business. Eric also covered it briefly. So this niche markets might have specialized tax requirements over there, right? And they need to comply with the industry-specific tax regulations, like examples, maybe luxury goods or medical equipments, right? So overall, we can say that this integration can be beneficial for the wide range of industries, and it can really do wonders by taking away all the complexity from their e-commerce operations.
Okay. Great. So we got that, like how the integrations will benefit each industries. So Eric, what are the role does real-time tax calculation play in improving the customer experience in that e-commerce area?
Yeah. Well, we're seeing like average abandoned cart rate is about 70%, which suggests that customer experience is very important. And not only that, offering quality products at the right price, but that accurate price too is extremely important, right? Research shows that 90% of surveyed customers would not buy from a retailer if they couldn't easily see an accurate final price, right? So this is about making sure that customers can come, they can be very transparent with the pricing, so that you don't have anybody abandoning your checkout. And that's what we all want, right? It's a lot of competitors out there, and so the last thing we want to do is give them a reason to go somewhere else, right? A cloud-based sales software reduce the risk of that incorrect landed cost by calculating taxes up front. So customers won't get surprised when they hit the buy button. If they're operating in new markets, particularly with tax rates that they're unfamiliar with as a company, it is possible that additional cost could be, displayed at checkout. So what we want to do is calculate those things throughout the process, so that when it is time for the checkout, they get that accurate price, and it's transparent throughout the whole process, right? As they're estimating, they get estimated taxes and all of that type of stuff, and it's all throughout the process, so they can see exactly what that looks like. As they move to different regions, they're buying different things in different areas. So in a sense, basically, last thing the company wants is the abandoned checkout. So making sure pricing, making sure taxing, making sure you have a good checkout experience is going to be great for overall customer experience.
Yeah.
That is so true.
Yeah.
That is so true. I would like to just echo what Eric just mentioned with an example,
Mhm.
as it's so important. Let's say we have an e-commerce application which is built in Commercetools front end, okay? And customers will certainly come across with multiple products, their prices, and maybe their tax information as well. And during checkout, if they see any difference in prices because the tax information was not latest or real time over there while they were browsing through the e-commerce platform, it will be, believe me, very disappointing to the customers. We have to understand customers really appreciate knowing that exact tax is, knowing that exact tax is what they're going to pay. And if this transparency is missing, they'll get disappointed. And this integration will really help in preventing the surprises, as Eric mentioned. It will really help in preventing surprise during checkout and maybe potentially reduce the cart abandonment rate. So overall, this integration will bring more transparency in overall e-commerce platform, which will result in better customer experience.
Okay, so Boyesh, speak quickly. Can you tell like if you say like integration with Avalara and Commerce, so typically, right? We need to know like the timeline, how much time it will take for integration,
Yeah, yeah,
and we just given a quick no thing
sure.
like how many weeks, something you just to know understand
Yeah.
how easy or like we can able to get it.
That's a good question, Bharat. But the thing is, there is no concrete timeline for it. It completely depends on the business, how complex it is. Okay.
Mhm.
Business really need to start with assessing with their current tax-related challenges which they are facing. Based on the outcome of it, they need to decide the strategy, how they can start with integration with this Avalara and Commercetools with their e-commerce platform. Then after that, they need to come up with integration setup wherein they need to have technical expertise of Commercetools and Avalara. They'll have to understand the APIs, their contracts, their software development ideas, and they need to understand Avalara for establishing the rules and tax calculation. So it's all a little bit complex over there, surely. And testing comes into the picture. They need to train their staff to effectively use this integration system, which will be in place to monitor the tax compliance. And then after
I
that,
think
finally comes to
I
production.
just yeah, I understand that. So it
Mhm.
has a several weeks timeline, right? Maybe it
Sure, sure.
based on the project it will take 6 to 8 weeks or even
Maybe
12
more than
weeks.
that.
That's yeah,
Maybe more.
okay.
Yes,
So
much more than that.
how Royal Sabre, is there any accelerator that helps this to speed to market?
Yes. So in Royal Sabre, we do have the accelerator. It will really help businesses, as I mentioned, all the challenges, all those get addressed. So composable commerce is the idea, right? So
Hmm.
this accelerator will take care of all the technicalities and complexity of integrating these two systems and kind of provide an abstract layer on top of it. They can really use this connector as a plug and play service, integrate it with their existing e-commerce platform, and they're good to go. So it will result in reducing the time to market, which is so critical. Overall,
Okay.
I can say this RC accelerator or Royal Sabre accelerator will provide necessary tools, resources to expedite the e-commerce business journey from concept to the market entry.
Okay. Cool.
And they
So
can really
you say,
leverage the capabilities by offering,
sorry.
accelerator. Business can save their time and increase their success in highly competitive world.
No, you say some accelerator that has been built for address this. Have we
Yeah.
no any customer success story that you can give how this integration is already
Yeah.
implemented from our
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I would like to talk about an experience working with one of our customers, which is Breville.
Mm,
Okay, just to let you know,
yeah.
Breville is a globally recognized leader in the coffee machines and kitchen appliance industry. They were going through a rough patch and going through the challenge around the tax-related problems or tax-related operations in their e-commerce application, like manually updating the tax calculation for different jurisdiction, which was leading to the potential errors and even becoming less than optimal customer experience issue over there. So, and to add to the complexity, their business was growing in multiple regions, which means more administrative burden for them. So Reveal's rapid growth means they need scalable solution to adapt with ever-changing text requirement, right? So Royal Sabre supported Reveal to achieve it by implementing the integration, as we just discussed, by that connector. Uh, and we created connector for them to integrate Avalara and Commercetools. Okay, so this really helped them in a way that real-time calculations have been provided. Seamless integration of this Avalara and Commercetools have been provided. The cross-border operations have been taken care, completely automated, which really helped them to enhance the customer experience, since it brought it brought more transparency in the system. Overall, this really help in reducing the compliance risk for the business and the tax errors. It brought more customer trust and satisfaction with the e-commerce experience. Last but not the least, it really made their system capable to seamlessly expand into the new market, which is so critical for any business.
Okay, great to hear that we have implemented this. So coming at the end, right? So I just want to
And
understand.
real quick, I
So
wanted to say something real quick about customer experience. Just a conversation that I just had with a customer.
Yeah, go ahead.
They were having issues with cross border. They utilize FedEx for shipping, and a person would check out, they would get their product, but then when they would get the FedEx for delivery, there was another tax, customs and duty tax, that was tied to it right then, that the customer needed to pay at FedEx before they released the product. The customers were getting very, very upset about this and everything else, and that it was a horrible customer experience. We work with this company to be able to provide those taxes, the customs duties tax up front, so that before they even got to FedEx or before they got to the shipping, it was already taken care of. And this will allow the company to kind of grow and have a lot better customer experience when it comes to cross-border transactions. So that's one area that I didn't mention, but can be a very cumbersome kind of customer experience. So
yeah, great. Nice to hear from you, Eric. I think we are almost run up the time, so we come to the end. So I just want to now understand a few things, or the future state, or like outlook for the tax compliance in e-commerce. How will this integration continue to evolve to meet industry needs? Can we get a quick insight about that?
yeah, definitely. So, we're definitely going to continue to stay on top of all the changing regulations and all the rules and everything else like that. As we know, there's a lot with the EU, with e-invoicing that's coming out. So we've been in the forefront of that. We are focused on artificial intelligence as well. We see this as kind of redefining the tax compliance space. We think it's kind of only the beginning as AI continues to manifest within everybody's ecosystems. The sheer volume, when we think about AI, the sheer volume of complexity and regulations, making it increasingly urgent for companies to adapt kind of an automated solution to kind of keep up with those real-time changes, right? Tax automation, artificial intelligence solutions will be key to maintaining successful compliance in a rapid evolving tax compliant policy and processes, right? Artificial intelligence solutions will help maintain data transparency and increase productivity. And as businesses, both large and small, jump kind of on that tax digitization bandwagon, maintaining compliance using tax automation systems will become standard operating procedure in the future. Automation and AI will be replacing manual processes, producing kind of better service-driven organizations, we think. So
Okay.
AI,
Cool.
we think we're really excited about it.
Yeah, AI is next, right? Nice to hear that. So I think we come to the end. And thanks, Bhavesh and Eric. It's like quite interesting discussion. To summarize, right, from my end, whatever we go through, all these things, like any e-commerce business like B2B, B2C wants to simplify their tax compliance, doing automation, tax calculations, even address multi-cross regional complexities, stay up to date on taxation. The integration with Avalara and Commercetools is a significant importance to address any tax related financial management or like business operating in different e-commerce industries. So this is very beneficial, and it gives a more value added to the business. And even right, it's as a provide you say it right, real time data and accurate tax calculation. Even it gives a transparency to get a more improved customer experience. So all this like understand get into all these things very easily by integrating Avalara and Commerce tool. is good, and reduce the risk on non-compliances, everything. So altogether, we got right. This composable commerce ideation provides a very insight data like sales and taxes and other customer behavior. These data can be used for any decision making or optimizing pricing strategies, and even identify growth for other opportunities. Hope you're all aligned on this. So here up, we can get into the question and answer session. I'm excited to see questions from the audience. Happy to take it for the discussion with Bhavesh and Derek.
Okay, let's do it.